so I look less like. All I brought was like Hawaiian shirts, guys. Either that or like I'd be rocking a t-shirt. But well. I guess
got a dress for the occasion.
Yeah. Well, the occasion down here would be a red MAGA shirt, which I do not have. Or a Harley Davidson shirt, or a shirt that says FBI, like Federal Booty Inspector.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Hey, everybody. You are now listening to the Under the Influence podcast with Lenny Platt, Abbie Lucas, and myself, Kevin Kautzman. This is the show where we chat with influential influencers influencing the influenced. It's a show about influencers. And Lenny is in the great state of
Florida.
And
it's kind of okay. It's not great. It's
right. Okay. Federal booty inspector.
Yeah.
And Abbie, where are you?
I am in London, United Kingdom.
All right. And I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota, where the end of the world is kicking off as we speak. It's Thursday, May 28th in the foul year of our Lord 2020. Here we are. And, where I'm from, Lenny, FBI stands for full-blooded Indian. A lot of the Lakota guys, they have hats.
Oh, yeah.
FBI, full-blooded Indian. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is episode 0 of our new show. The idea here is we're going to kick off every week or so with Abbie, Lenny, and myself talking about something we saw on social media that amused us in relation to influencers, influential people influencing the influenced. And then we're going to have a guest on and interview the guest about their social media, I guess, personality and reach and whatever else they have going on. So we're pretty
social media journey.
their journey.
Their career now.
Yeah. Their career.
Yeah. Their millions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How they got all their endorsements and their various deals and, how, if they have advice, recommendations. It's going to be an interesting show. It's going to be kind of like a talk show. Except we have 3 hosts. And of course, Lenny is an actor. Abbie is a director and a writer. Lenny's a producer, and I'm a playwright and a writer. And so you have a little creative squadron of people here from all over the world, as a matter of fact. We're covering 3 time zones, and presumably a lot of our guests will be coming to us from places like LA. on the beach.
Exclusively from LA.
Yeah.
Nowhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be the mecca for influence anymore. We'll see.
It's going to be curious, isn't it? Yeah. And you can find us at undertheshow.com. Again, this is episode 0. So we're testing some things out, and we're going to see how we feel about this format and all the rest.
If you're listening to this, we appreciate it, but what the hell are you doing? We're figuring shit out. Why are you being a guinea pig for us? We love you. Thank you.
You could be
one of the OG.
Come back at episode 10.
Come back, yeah.
You could be binging Mad Men for the 5th time. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Go watch The Wire.
Real talk. I've been watching the hell out of some Mad Men lately.
Same. Yeah. Absolutely. That show does not flag at any point. It stays consistently good through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty wild.
I only recently completed it, so I'm not quite ready for a second viewing.
Yeah.
Well, so go on.
No, I was going to say it is funny to watch a world where they weren't on their phone and influence was what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually related, right? Because influence is very tied to advertising. I feel like Mad Men in 2020 would be running people's social media accounts. Probably, right?
That's a pretty solid idea for a scripted series. You could do a kind of contemporary Mad Men.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
A reboot? Guys,
like
a reboot Mad Men.
A lot less smoking and a lot more scrolling.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably be vaping, not smoking.
Be Adderall.
Yeah.
Stop it, Adderall. So the format of this show is that we're gonna start out with something we saw on social media this week, and then we're going to bleed that into an interview for every episode. But for now, we're going to do one, the 3 of us. Lenny's the only one with a blue check as of yet. I don't know, one of my plays, a reading of my play got reviewed, so I may go to Twitter and say, hey, look, I'm a real boy. Give me one of those. So
maybe we'll person.
Yeah. So maybe we'll talk to Lenny a little bit about his Instagram life here too. But let's kick this off. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll. Who wants to start? Lenny, you have a couple things, so maybe you should go first and show us what you wanted to share.
Well, so first thing is a dumb photo. So let's start with the dumb photo.
It's nothing like
more meaty.
Yeah.
But how do I? Okay, are you going to share for me? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen right now.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so here's go on.
Our man Elon Musk. You know, our I guess Tony
Savior?
Stark of the age. No, I don't know about Savior. I mean, look, I was at the scrubbed SpaceX NASA launch on Wednesday.
Okay.
Didn't happen. Obviously, they're gonna do it on Saturday, but it was like I love and hate this guy. You know, like he's very smart and is doing great stuff and really inspiring the new next generation to love space and want to get involved and become a scientist and an astronaut. So, you know, that part of his organization is a tight ship. However, you know, his politics, especially around California's lockdown and not being able to run his Tesla factories, is not so great. So I'm sure everyone out there listening is familiar with the term Karen. This was a meme making Elon Musk a Karen with the classic bleach-streaked raccoon haircut. That soccer mom look, just above the shoulders. And it says, "Let me speak with the manager of California." I thought that was pretty damn funny. And
it is pretty funny.
Yeah. And it was like funnier last week until we had some Karens do some gnarly, shitty things in New York.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. So this was a frivolous thing, but has taken on a new meaning, and now Karens are really, I guess, more dangerous than we realized.
And we're going to be putting this podcast out. Sorry, Abbie, we're going to be putting this podcast out both as an audio podcast and a YouTube video podcast. I think you can use the theater of the mind to imagine Elon Musk with a light, almost like a halo behind him with a Karen haircut, looking directly at the camera. What's funny about this haircut is that it's 2 notches away from something Bowie would have done in the 90s. But it's not quite there, right? It's
maybe not the red.
Yeah, it's a little more like suburban mall.
For sure. Yeah.
Abbie, you were going to say something?
Did you? So Elon Musk and Grimes, the artist, recently had a child with an unpronounceable name. Did you see last week her mother throwing him some shade on Twitter?
No, gracious. Spill the tea.
I don't think he's very popular with mother of Grimes. But she was kind of like subtweeting him, I guess, like calling him out on some MRA bullshit.
Is that right?
Yeah. I saw he also, California made him change their kid's name, him and Grimes.
Yeah, they changed it to a Roman numeral.
Yeah.
Because apparently. You can't have a numeral in your name.
Numerals. That is where we draw the line for naming in California. It's good to know.
It's going to confuse the matrix, right? What is your social security number? I gave it to you. I already told you. XA12 or whatever. Well, that's fun. So, Lenny, what's the other piece of media you're gonna show us here? It's something from the old gray lady.
Yeah. So, just got reported today on New York Times that influencers will now be paid. Instagram is changing their platform. Currently, like the way you would get paid as an influencer, someone would sponsor you, right? So you'd be hired by Gucci to show a T-shirt or a shirt, and they would cut you a check directly. But Instagram wants to encourage its users and monetize the platform. So now they're going to have ads on Instagram TV, which people will buy. So it's like the way YouTube monetizes their platform and their influencer market.
Okay.
They're also going to let you get a cut of anything that's bought through the shopping channel, which I think is interesting. So if people, influencers showing a new bathing suit, there's a link on the shopping channel, they'll get a cut of what's purchased. And then the third thing, which I find the strangest, and I would love to talk to you guys about it, is you can make money on what's called a badge. I'm sure other platforms use this. I have never done it, but you can pay money directly to the influencer by paying 99 cents to $4.99 to have a little icon that shows up during a live chat. So in this photo, you can see this yoga influencer. You pay, like, as a user, you comment, and then you could pay an extra $1 or $5 to support this artist or this influencer, and you would get a little badge. I don't really understand the gratification of that, but that is a way that you can monetize the platform. So it's kind of a timely for this.
Like an inbuilt Patreon type situation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the closest thing I could think of. It's like or an OnlyFans account.
And don't worry,
way to cost them those dollar bills.
Under the Influence, OnlyFans is coming. We're still putting the channel together.
Definitely have to speak to someone who has an OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Is that a pun? Is that
I meant for us, actually, but we'll see. We'll see how our Patreon goes.
The Patreon will have to go way up for that to happen.
$10,000 a month. We'll make an OnlyFans account, and it's just you in your basement in Arkansas. $10,000 a piece. We're good. No, that's really an interesting thing to point out, Lenny. I've seen that before. So it's like somebody becomes like a super fan. So the influencer in question their chats will be algorithmically driven to the top of the noise.
Right.
And I can imagine that would be gratifying to some people. I've heard that some of these YouTube stars come to the mall, and it's like the Beatles have showed up. People are like screaming, these freaking out. So, yeah.
No, I get it. And I mean, I don't know specifically what you're referring to, Kevin, but I think our listeners should know that the three of us worked on a script about webcam sex performers, sex workers.
Yeah.
And this to me feels a lot like, the Pornhub Live or the Chat Your Bait kind of put coins in the machine and then the hearts go up. It's a tip, it's like a strip club, you're tipping. So I think to me, that's the closest analogy of this real time, kind of way to support the performer. But it's just, I don't know. It's just a little strange to me because outside of sex work, stripping, burlesque, perhaps, if someone's a yoga teacher, you don't go up and just throw dollars on them, if someone is really well dressed, you don't go up and put $1 in their pocket. I don't know. It's like a weird way to
I feel
interact.
In some ways you're paying to be advertised to. But right. I guess if you've got a yoga person or something, I mean, it's become quite common in the quarantine for people who teach yoga or Pilates or whatever to do these online classes and then have somewhere where you can donate to
that's true,
to be a part of the class. So it's kind of like you're paying for an online session. Maybe Instagram are just trying to take a cut of that.
Are these subscriptions, Len?
No. As far as I know, reading the article, they're just a one-off. Let's say we go live with the show, people can just say, "Hey, love the show." Tap a button, and a little badge would show up that said they paid $1 or they paid $5.
Interesting. I'd be more into it if it was like a subscription type thing, because that's where you can really stack revenue. Like Patreon is great. One of the other videos we're going to show is the great comedian Tim Dillon, and he gets $5 a month out of my pocket because he has a Patreon only feed for his show, and he's funny enough that I'm happy to support him, and I think he's getting $30,000 a month at this point, something like that, which is powerful. I mean, that really liberates you to. I mean, that at least takes the edge off, so you can just focus wholly on your art. And I think the Patreon model is very cool.
Yeah. I guess in a way it's like PBS. you like what's on the air? Give us your money.
It's PBS, but it's butts. It's for butts.
PBS, but butts.
We always knew this was coming. Minneapolis is on fire. We're going to be eating or drinking from the back of the toilets pretty soon.
The public butts service.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a show title for this episode. That's great. The Public Butt Service.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that's a nice little chunk of the segment there for you, Lenny. I think that's great. Let's keep an eye on this, and I kind of like the idea that maybe part of the show is, every week maybe we're trying to sort of pay attention to little trends and things that are happening, in the space. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also, part of this is to explore the psychology too behind, we're all this is not meant to. We will talk shit about social media, but we also will talk about how we love it. It's two-sided, there's good sides and bad sides to it, and it's evolving constantly. So kind of understanding too from our listeners, like what is it that drives you to want to support an artist that is good at like bouncing ping pong balls into cups in really weird ways. Rock and roll, man. If that's a fucking thing that you're willing to spend $5 on every time they go live, like that's awesome. And just kind of understanding really what the draw is, because we're all, kind of all trying to figure it out, without judgment.
To take it back to that sort of chatterbait webcam model thing,
yes.
the three of us, for the listeners, once had a conversation with a guy from the Kinsey Institute, and we were talking about webcam models and how you're now in that sphere able to explore fetishes that are like really specific. Like there's literally something for everybody. And perhaps this kind of like badge support thing is sort of like that, in the way that if you are super into like somebody like bouncing ping pong balls into something, like that's there for you now. Now you're able to sort of like subscribe to that cable channel, and it's no longer dictated to by the average of what society likes.
Yeah. Yeah, super niche television.
Yeah, for sure. It is. It really is that. And then also the promise of interaction. I think people like finding these niches, and then it is somewhat exhilarating to have somebody chat back at you who you admire.
Yeah, you find your tribe.
Yeah, I have my little examples of that I would fanboy out on, nerd out on. Mostly it happens on Twitter. But yeah. All right, Lenny, your beat is going to be trends in social media, right? I'll stay on Twitter. Twitter is a cesspool.
A cesspool.
But it's my cesspool.
You know who agrees with you? The president. He's about to shut that shit down. Or if he's going to try.
I don't know. Yeah, the executive order, I think he may have already passed it. But let's try not to say the name of he who shall not be named on this show. I think we're going to create our own niche reality where it doesn't exist for 30 to 40 minutes every episode. We can just imagine that we live in a world that it's completely fallen. No, I'm sure it'll come up at some point. But hey, we got two more fun things to share. Abbie, why don't you go next? So I already mentioned the great Tim Dillon, but take it away. All
right. So the thing that we're about to show you, I'm going to need to give a little bit of background on. So there is a drama that's kind of been resolved this week. Actually, there was a drama for the last couple of months on the internet about a podcast on the Barstool Sports Network called Call Her Daddy, which is a podcast. It was a podcast with these two girls who were giving sort of like sex and relationship advice and talking about their own sort of personal experiences. And it's like if you had two psycho friends who were really high on the crazy hot matrix, like give you kind of like dodgy advice. But
slow down. What is the crazy hot matrix for people who don't know?
It's a way that you definitely should not describe women. But the idea of it is that, like, if a woman is hot, then she's allowed to be a certain amount of crazy.
You heard it from Abbie Lucas. She's at Abbie Lucas on Twitter. You can get at her there.
I completely disagree with this matrix, and there's a video of a very mediocre white man explaining this matrix on a whiteboard, and to watch it is quite hilarious, because you're like, who we're not getting out a like tall rich matrix or anything like this. So
tall rich matrix. You just make that up? That's I like.
Yeah,
that.
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, cool.
I will say,
obviously, you can see what my priorities are.
Letty, what were you going to say?
I'm kidding.
No, I was going to say a friend of mine who's also a female described it as hot enough to throw a chair. I would say that it also applies. There are guys, I think, that are good looking enough where they get away with being an asshole.
Yeah.
Too,
Present company excluded, I'm sure. The guy who was on a soap opera.
Yeah, man. I died on that thing. I wasn't too hot.
You got killed off?
Get killed off.
What was it? Was it One Life to Live?
It was. Actually, I didn't get killed off on that. That show got killed off. R.I.P. But I got killed off on the next 3 things I was on. Nobody gets blown up or set on fire like me. Anyway.
So one of the girls on Call Her Daddy, and this podcast exploded. It only started a year ago. One of the girls was on like unemployment checks, had a meeting with the president of Barstool Sports, got this podcast, and like within a year, both girls are earning like close to $500,000 in like download bonuses and like merchandise and all of this sort of thing. So one of the girls gets this boyfriend who the daddy gang, as they call their listeners, would refer to as Suit Man, because that was the name he was given on the podcast. And he's this HBO executive. And like, if you look at a picture of him, he looks exactly like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Like, he's got this like ridiculous shaped head. And he
Prince Valiant haircut.
Yeah, exactly. He sort of suggested to these girls that they were not making industry standard on their contracts, and behind Barstool Sports' back tried to shop the podcast to like different networks, including Wondery. And to cut a long story short, a lot of shit went down. There were a lot of agents that got involved. Barstool Sports, like they'd offered them this like amazing deal where they got to walk away after 12 months with the IP for their show, which like nobody gets. And sort of the girl with the Suit Man boyfriend, her people just refused and were trying to get more and more things from this deal and more money and all of this sort of stuff. In the meantime, the president of Barstool Sports, whose name's Dave Portnoy, takes over the Call Her Daddy Instagram account and just starts posting the pettiest shit that was hilarious about the Suit Man, about like Sophia, the girl who's the Suit Man's girlfriend, and then does a call out for people to audition to be on Call Her Daddy, because he was like, well, I own the rights to the show, so I can just put whoever I want on. Which brings us to this video.
Tim Dillon comes in. So here's Tim Dillon's audition to be the host of Call Her Daddy.
Hi, this is my audition for Call Her Daddy, the podcast. How are you bunch of cum buckets doing? One of our readers writes, hey guys, love you. How long should I know a guy before I let him come in my ass? And the answer is as long as it takes him to get hard and fuck you in the ass. I think it's so important to vote. If you are not hot, literally get raped. Literally, that's how you're going to get invited to parties. Just grease that hole up and let him do it. Pep Boy style. Oh my God. So we're doing blowjob classes right now. It's so important that you know how to suck a cock. You stupid whore. This is an average cock with like Peyronie's disease, which means it curves up. A lot of guys' cocks curve up. Take this off. The mic is another cock. So picture there's one cock getting ready to go, and then you have one cock right now. So now this is like another cock that's just hitting you in the back of the head. Okay, so you have three cocks at once. 3 cocks, and this is how you play. This is what your pussy should look like after you've been fucked. And then you like fucking throw it out. You get another one. I loved Call Her Daddy. I watched every episode of Call Her Daddy. And that's how I learned how to suck off my uncle. Dave Portnoy, I don't care what you do. You want to throw me down a flight of stairs? That's fine. You know what's going to happen at the bottom of that flight of stairs? I'm going to come. I don't even care if my neck's broken. I'm just going to come. Daddy gang!
Good God. What was that?
I love Tim Dillon. He is one of my very favorite comics.
So that was pretty accurate.
Is that what the podcast is like? Is that they're like constantly talking about cocks and like...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of blowjob advice.
Okay.
But yeah, it is a lot of people writing in with sex stories or asking for advice, and yeah, it's some crazy advice that they give back to them, but it's quite entertaining as a show. Now it's only going to be presented by one of the girls, the one that was happy with the deal. So Call Her Daddy is back after a 2-month hiatus or whatever it's been.
Call Her Daddy?
Yeah.
What is the name? Man, this is like another whole sub-thread of this show. I just need to understand what the hell.
That is one of the reasons I love doing shows like this, because you get turned on to stuff that otherwise wouldn't make sense. So Abbie mentioned Call Her Daddy last week when we were doing some pre-production. And then Tim comes out with this thing and I go, oh, I know what that is. You know, I'm ahead of the curve. It's going to keep us young doing a show like this. We have to do that whole episode where somebody explains TikTok to me.
Yeah. And actually there was a meme about the people over 30 talking about TikTok. Just sort of,
it's becoming a cliche. But I did watch a horrific video. I'll bring it up next time of Howie Mandel is doing a TikTok that is based off of a video of a woman explaining how to wash your vagina. So it's like a dance. He's like doing the mime moves.
It's like an interpretive dance of
a
douche.
Yeah,
a douche
of a full like hygienic.
Okay.
Yeah. So next week, cool. TikTok. Yeah. Genital hygiene
and informative.
Well, I have
what you got, Kevin?
I have something to close this out, and this is a good buddy of mine who is this incredible vibraphonist. His name is Jake Chapman, and we'll try to get him on the show at some point. He's a prodigy, plays a lot of jazz on his vibraphone, very famous in Washington Heights now where he lives. He splits time now between Washington Heights and LA, and we'll get him on the show. But here, I guess it's his first reaction video. I mean, the guy's got a lot of style, very cool. He's got his first reaction video to his vibraphone playing, and this guy's loving it.
Sweet jacket, dude.
Yeah, no, this guy has a lot of style, and Jake, this is an open invitation to the show. I'll make it happen. We'll get him on. He's a brilliant guy, so check this out.
A record deal. That was
well, and it looks like the guy who was reacting is Chakra with an H, and I guess he produced the beat for that.
Oh, cool.
Oh shit. Okay, I was gonna say, man, that song was ready to be like throw Pitbull on the track. I'm like, top song.
I mean, Chapman is something else. To see him live, my last birthday, we went and saw him live at Lincoln Center. He was playing Dizzy's at a week at Dizzy's, and this guy's in his 20s. I mean, he's just absolutely a killer. Yeah. So there you go. Good stuff. Yeah, we'll have to see if we can get him on the show. I mean, he's real special. You know, I think it wasn't around my birthday, but I said, I do another podcast called Get This Podcast. It's getthispodcast.com, and I interview people.
Plug your other podcast.
Yeah. How dare you?
How dare you? You're in bed with us right now.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I said somebody else's name, didn't I? Karen. But I had Chapman on, and then later that day he was going to play at my kind of local bar up in the Heights where I used to hang out, Kismet, and because they do live jazz. Shout out to Kismet, all the Kismet people. And I said, man, can you play Immigrant Song? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. And so he comes over and he just crushes Immigrant Song on the vibes. I'm like,
takes requests.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is a prodigy. We love Jake Chapman.
That guy rocks.
Totally rocks. So again, this is not Get This. This is Under the Influence. You can find it at undertheshow.com. We're going to get our social media coordinated. Obviously, we need to have a social media presence for the show.
I mean, we need people to be buying badges on Instagram.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
That's right.
Please,
that's right. Exactly.
Throw them stacks on us, you know.
Yeah.
You like what you see. We'll make some T-shirts.
I think we should embrace the peach as our logo. Embrace the peach. Yeah. Public butt service, right?
Public butt service.
We'll do a little post-production.
Federal booty inspector.
Yeah. Federal booty inspector. Exactly. We'll do a little post-production and see how we feel about all of that. But so this is an example of what this show is going to be like, plus an interview. Abbie, Lenny, and I are going to wrap for 15, 20 minutes up front. We're going to talk about what's going on in social media in our world, and then we're going to interview somebody. The whole idea is that we're going to do seasons, and hopefully we're able to get some very cool guests and kind of talk about this new world that we're inhabiting, where people are on Instagram and people are throwing shekels at them.
Yeah. We should figure out how to go live at some point. I would love to when they used to go to the phones.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Question from
that could never
Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't know.
Like that could never go wrong.
You know what?
It'd be like 5 o'clock in the morning for me or something like this.
Oh, no.
I'll be here in pajamas.
Yeah.
Well, we will figure that out at some point, Lenny. I've played around with it. I mean, if these kids can do it, surely it can't be that difficult, right?
Yeah. Can't be that difficult.
No, it's got to be easy, right? Again, this is undertheshow.com, Under the Influence Podcast. I'm Kevin Kautzman. You can find me, on Twitter and Instagram. My handle's just my name. We'll put them in the credits. And I'm with Abbie Lucas and Lenny Platt. And I think all y'all handles are exactly like they sound, right? Just your names?
Yes, yeah. But my name is IE at the end, which is an unusual spelling.
Right.
Indeed.
And mine is LEN12 PLATT. It's 12, but it's Lenny Platt.
Can't miss him.
You can't have that in California.
Look for the guy right now to find Lenny on Insta. Look for the guy who looks like an extra from Apocalypse Now.
Right.
With the blue check.
Yep, that's me. Dishwashing immigrant from Cuba. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, you guys. So that's great. Episode 0. Hopefully this is the start of something beautiful.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right. Peace.
All right.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Ciao.
Well.